So were you also catching some live specimens and tagging them, or?
Yes, we because I also was involved in another study there. What we did is we checked the blood of the crocodiles. So a couple of years before me, people from the Albuquerque Biopark, they went to Ivory Coast and they sampled the blood of the crocodiles in the zoo in Abidjan, which is a whole story of itself. It's insane. Like it was really sad for me to visit that zoo. But they found out a couple of years ago that all the crocodiles, without exception, were calcium deficient.
At the zoo?
So that was yeah, that was
Gotcha.
a really big problem. Like they were like borderline dying.
So is that why you're saying
So
it was so sad? Like the conditions of the animals were not good?
yes, like for instance, when I got there a couple of days before, the visitors had stoned a baby crocodile to death. Um, like chimpanzees, basically bathing in plastic bottles. The vet told me, like she was a British girl, really cool girl. She told me that she had to explain to the keepers that chimpanzees drink water. So yeah, they didn't have water. They were literally, dying of thirst. But they said like they're fine, they're alive, and that's only because they sometimes got like an orange or something that got a little bit of moisture. And just it was just such a sad situation with very sick animals. The cages were like horrible. When I was there, they lost a crocodile because one of the cages was so badly damaged because of a hurricane or something like 2 years ago. Nobody, got to fix that. So it just ran off. And like, after 2 weeks, there still was no sign of a crocodile. And then I got a phone call and they said like a toddler was in the backside of the zoo peeing, like just not on the toilet, whatever. And he was peeing on that croc.
Oh my
So they
God.
found it back, but they thought it had gone off into the city, which also happened with a chimpanzee was just off running in the ghetto, and like it was crazy.
Wow.
So anyway, my the colleagues from the Albuquerque Biopark, back in the day, they asked them like, "What do you feed these crocodiles?" And they said either nothing or like chicken from the supermarket, like these fillets. Um, and by the way, what I want to mention is this is not the fault of the zookeepers because they don't even get paid. So if you don't have money to feed your children, then obviously you're not going to bother about zoo animals. That's just how humans are, and I don't blame them at all. They're amazing people. This is just,
It's a bigger problem than that.
yeah, it's a sad reality of Africa. They're not to blame at all. They are wonderful people. So yeah, they basically explain like there's no money to buy food for the crocodiles or the other animals. So usually we don't feed them, or sometimes people give us like these chicken fillets from the supermarket. Obviously, that's a big problem for crocodiles because they need bone, they need organ, they need hair, they need a complete animal. They're true carnivores. So, with the help of the Albuquerque Zoo, they changed the diet completely. This was also funded by a private person who really likes crocodiles, which I think is insane. Like he paid for the food of the crocodiles for years out of his own pocket.
Wow.
Yeah, he's amazing. And so when I was there, I helped to take the blood of these crocodiles to check it again. I ran the analysis, and they are now perfectly healthy blood level wise. So that was amazing to see. And then also because you talked about catching crocodiles in the wild, we really wanted to compare that blood to the wild crocodiles to see if it was like similar. And yeah, that was really cool. So my first croc, I remember it so well, was in the middle of the night. Was a pitch black night in the jungles of the Thai National Park. And I went on this little tiny rubber boat with Matt, my supervisor, and he asked me if I wanted to catch one. I said, of course, like it's my biggest dream to catch a wild crocodile. So we were shining our lights on the water surface to see the ice. They light up in red. And yeah, I spotted this tiny little crocodile on the riverbank. And it was kind of hard to get to because it was like a steep riverbank with lots of vegetation, but I just wanted to catch that crocodile. So, and he didn't, I don't know why, but he didn't really explain on how to do it. So I just went to the front of the boat and he said, "You need to get down." I'm like, "Do I need to get down?" Okay. And then when we got close, I just jumped into the black water. I couldn't see anything because it was so dark. And I got out of the water and I got the croc in my hand. So that was pretty awesome. And yeah, I cried.
That sounds terrifying.
It was amazing.
Jumping into black water in the middle of the night when you're specifically looking for crocodiles sounds like something very small percentage of the population would actually do.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there were some big ones around as well, but yeah, I loved every minute of it. It was so cool.
So what was it like when you grab him? Is it? I mean, obviously he wasn't huge. It was a smaller animal, but was it thrashing? Like, was it hard to hold on to?
No, I mean, crocodiles, they are quite strong, but I've also found that once they relax, they are quite okay, actually. So if you don't do anything too crazy, they calm down quite quickly. We cut off a part of the, it sounds terrible, but it's not. You can mark them by cutting off a scale of the tail, just to have a numeric system. And that's what we did. And we took the blood sample and he was all fine. We also recorded his vocalizations because there was another girl with me in Ivory Coast who studies croc talk, basically, because they are probably much more social and vocal than we ever realized. And there's like, populations that really interact with each other. So we also recorded the noises that it made. It was actually quite a chill crocodile. I've had definitely worse experiences with some of the snakes that I've caught.
Yeah, the vocalization of crocodiles is really interesting. It's such a deep guttural sound. It almost seems like that sound shouldn't be coming from that animal, considering a lot of reptiles don't make noise.
Exactly. It's so surreal to hear that. Even like with the alligators, when they start bellowing, I'm always like, wow, that's just so cool.
Mm-hmm. So when you take blood from something like a crocodile, how do you do you have a special needle or something, or is there just a specific spot that you can get into the soft tissue?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked because it's actually quite interesting, and I was quite nervous to do that. Obviously, for my studies, I had taken so many blood samples, but never from a crocodile. And usually with reptiles, we try to do the tail. But crocodiles, they have a very complex blood flow, and they can actually decide, well, it's not really decide, but they can allocate where they send blood to. So as soon as you start fiddling around with that tail, they will restrict the blood flow, and then it will become a hassle for both of us. Like, it's not nice for the crocodile, it's quite stressful. And for us, we usually don't get a good blood sample. So what we do is we pick a vein in the neck. So you basically go straight behind the head, because the brains will always need like oxygen-rich blood. So there you will always get a good blood sample, but it's quite scary because there's some nerves running there as well. So you need to be quite careful. But I picked it up quite quickly, and yeah, we take a blood sample from the neck, and it always works.
That's interesting. Yeah, I guess it makes sense that the blood was shunt away from the extremities when they're in a little bit of a stressful environment. That's cool. Yeah. So let's talk about some venomous snakes. Of course, you don't start with, you don't get into venomous as your first reptile. So how did that happen? Where did you go from, your regular reptiles to working with venomous? Thank you for listening to that clip of the Animals at Home podcast. If you found that interesting, definitely go check out the full episode here. You can also find any other episodes that we've recorded right here, and we are available on your favorite podcasting app.